Hi, it's Santeri from musicmakingjourney.com. It's usually best to get your instrument sounding as good as it possibly can, without relying on heavy post-processing. This has the benefit of avoiding the unpleasant side effects of those processors. Here we are looking at the desirable effects of tuning your snare batter head to the key of your song. Unisons and fifths are usually the most transparent. The most important thing is that the ringing sounds of the snare are in the scale of the song and not between any notes or in notes that don't belong to the scale. This way we don't need to EQ those frequencies out. We can just keep them and keep the sound more natural. Less processing, more natural and good quality sound for you. So, let's begin. So here's an example of a usual tuning. You can hear how the middle frequencies are popping out, and they sound hollow and boxy. So let's begin by loosening the head completely. I like to do this little by little, so that the tension doesn't drop too quickly in one spot. That gives the head a longer life. Next step is to finger tight the head. I really like these keys that have these knots on the top. It really makes it enjoyable to turn the tension rods to finger tight. But to avoid over tightening in one go, I go little by little. First lighter, then more force until I can't turn the key anymore, using my fingers with the notch. And next I'm going to push the head in. This releases any trapped tension. And then I notice that some of the tension rods start to turn again. Then I just retighten them. Next step, tighten all the tension rods the same amount, 90 degrees, like that. Now we're going to listen to the pitch at each lug. Trying to hit the same distance from each. And those that seem to be lower than others, we're going to attack first. And the technique is to detune first to a lower pitch and then retune back up until we hear the same sound that the higher spots produced, memorizing that pitch. This way we can get a good understanding of what this specific tension rod does to the pitch. Here I'm shooting for the pitch. It doesn't matter what the pitch is, as long as it's the same between all the lugs. This is easier when you have a fresh head and good quality bearing edges. But with all heads and perhaps not the best drums, you can still do it. You just need a little more patience. This head is about a year old and this drum cost me about $60. There you can hear how the fundamental pitch gets louder, the more lugs you get to the same pitch. One final round. I've noticed that it really doesn't matter if you do it across the head or like this, just going around, since we're just fine tuning. Then another press and recheck. Now the fundamental pitch got louder yet again, so that's good. And you'll notice that the fundamental I'm shooting for got a little higher. I just noticed that one of the tension rods was too loose, so instead of lowering all of them, I decided to raise this one and shoot for a higher pitch instead. So next step is to shoot for the target frequency. And for this song, it's 247 Hz. That's a B note. It fits to the song. Online generators and plugins are good for this. Next, we're going to tighten each of the tension rods the same amount. The same little amount. This way the pitch doesn't get too high after a full round. And here it's good to use the across the head technique, since we're not fine tuning anymore. And you will know that you have reached the correct pitch when the sustaining note gets louder with the generated tone. I have found that around this 240 Hz is the best place to tune your fundamental. I found that above 300 Hz the overtones really take over, but if you like that sound, go for it. And below 200 Hz the head is so low tuned that it doesn't want to stay in tune anymore. And the punch of the snare drum lies somewhere around 200 Hz. And if you tune to that pitch, there's no possibility with EQ to balance the fundamental sustaining sound with the short punchy sound anymore, since they would be in the same range. Of course the goal is to use minimal amount of EQ, but it's good to have the option to have some control. So 240 Hz, that's good range. So to recap, first figure out what is the key of your song, and then try to find a frequency around 240 Hz that corresponds to a common note in your song. I use the B note a lot in this song, and I checked in an app that B note is around 247 Hz. You can just round to a closest whole number. It's fine. Next step, check with the song. This gives you more perspective. I almost every time find some of the locks are still too low as the song plays. Even though I didn't notice that when using the tone generator. Okay, let's see what it sounds like with no processing. Pretty nice, in isolation. But that's not enough. We need to make sure that it fits to the song. First, after a complete retune, actually playing the drum will loosen some of the rods. That's why I'm checking one last time. So, let's try to record this thing. Yeah, that worked. The first two hits sounded weird because the tension was still trapped somewhere. So the first hit released that tension and then it started to sound really nice. Let's check before and after. Yeah, so sounded a little amateur. Like when you're hitting your cheek with your mouth open. So here's after our process. No processing, no samples, cheap drums, small room, old heads. Pretty nice. So there, I really hope you're going to try this. I made a list of this whole process. You can find the link in the description. Can't wait to hear your questions and thoughts. And please, enjoy making your music. See you, bye!